Hi everyone, Noah Frank here with the Drivers Market. Today I'm really excited to bring you a product that we have been developing for the VF style transfer cases. It is a set of twin sticks that we are referring to as the DualShift. There are twin stick setups out there right now. Most of them are for dual case, specifically RF1A style transfer cases. This new setup will be for single or double case, starting with the VF series of transfer case and moving back to the RF style of transfer case. This will be for starting off the VF1 and VF2s. Now on the VF2s, these need to be J-shift only. They cannot be the push button four-wheel drive or the multi-mode. So if you have a J-shift style of VF1, VF2, this will work for your rig. So this is my 2003 Toyota Tacoma. This has a push button four-wheel drive, so it will not actually work on my Tacoma, but this will work on Tacomas that have the J-shift, 4Runners that have the J-shift, anything from 1988 all the way up until 2004. So what we're going to be doing right now is, one, I'm going to show you how we've developed the product, some of the parameters we've had to work around, how to identify if this will fit on your vehicle. Then we're going to show you the fit inside this vehicle. Even though it won't work with this vehicle, I can still show you the fitment and how we've gone around some of the parameters in this vehicle. This will be the same for all of the A340 transmissions. So if you have a 4Runner that's an automatic that has the J-shift, this will work for you. If you have a Tacoma that has an automatic with the J-shift, this will work for you. I'm also going to show you a W59 pattern that I have down on the ground next to the truck, and this will show you how we've worked around the same set of shift arms working both on the automatic and the manual, because there are two different things we have to work around. That's a lot of talking. Let me actually show you the product now, and we'll get right into some of the specifics. Okay, we are back at the workbench now, taking a look at two examples of the traditional VF style transfer case shifters. On the left, we have what we do want, and on the right, we have what we don't want. Now, both of these are set up in the same way, where they rotate on a central fulcrum. They are a ball and socket style. So the socket is this housing, and then the bottom of the shifter has the actual ball on it. You can see right there at the end of my finger. Now, these differ in a couple of ways. The first and most obvious is the shift pattern itself. This is a traditional J shift, starting with your H2 down to your H4, the J up to the neutral, and then to your low 4. On these ones, I realize I don't have the actual shift head on there, but it would just say high, neutral, low in your forward position. So the other way to tell is it has a ball and socket style of engagement. It does not have the spade engagement. It has the ball and socket style. This is reminiscent of a transmission. Whereas on the one that we do want, it has this flattened spade type, and that is because this one also pivots side to side, which is why this spring is here, keeping it in the correct installment orientation. Let me show you what we've developed. When you do split your cases, you have two shift rails. Your left rail is always going to be your high, neutral, low rail, and your right rail is always going to be your 2x4 and 4x4 rail. This is our idea for split shifters. You can see that I have some mock-ups of the actual shift knobs there, but what this setup does, it allows you to isolate your 2x4 and 4x4 from your high, neutral, low. There's a couple of reasons that it's shaped like this. First and foremost, on a manual transmission, when you shift into the low position, which would again be this shifter over here, when you shift into the low position, you're actually pushing your shifter forwards. You can see that referenced right here in the J, where your L position is the most forward position that you have. So when you're again in your L position at your most forward, you have to worry about the transmission shifter coming back down and into reverse. Having the offset here allows you to have clearance for your transmission shifter going into the reverse position, even when you're in low. When you're in your 2x4 and 4x4 position, you are completely out of the way of your transmission, and therefore this system works. It allows you to isolate your two shift rods, operate them independently, and it allows you to do so by utilizing two different spades instead of one single spade. Now, these are going to be a piece of hardened steel. Obviously, right now, they are all 3D printed, but these will be hardened steel, and they will connect to either aluminum or mild steel rods, and this housing down here will be aluminum, and we do have another breather fashioned on there that is spring-loaded so that if the vehicle does overturn, you're not going to lose your T-case fluid through that breather. Now, this whole design is all on one pivot. This one 8mm bolt here is your fulcrum, and it goes all the way through one side to the other. We don't have them mounted right now, but in this little gap that you would see right here, there would be a sealing washer, and then there's an O-ring here. This unit is completely sealed once it's installed. It uses the same factory gasket to seal it up against the T-case, and these arms reach in order for you to, again, shift independently. Speaking of these arms, let's take a look at the geometry a little bit. I'm going to straighten these out on the actual shifter. So if you were to look at this now, it is relatively straight in the up-down position, but you'll see that the engagement keys are offset. The reason for this is because on a manual transmission, what you would have is this offset would push these shifters further back, and that would allow you to, again, have more clearance for your manual shifter, and then when you engage, the manual shifter would bypass in this area. So it keeps these shifters further away from where your shift point is over here with your manual transmission. If you turn this around, that clocking in the rearward position now allows you to keep your shifters more forward in an automatic, avoiding your automatic shifter that's on this side, and it allows you to move freely in the opening where the J-shift normally would be. I've just described a bunch of things. It's going to be very easy to show you when I actually have them installed on the transmission and in the vehicle, but suffice it to say that this one set of arms, whether you are on this side with the arms going to the right for the manual configuration, or on this side with the arms going to the left for the auto configuration, this will work whichever way you have your VF style set up. So if you're using an automatic, you mount them like this. If you're using a manual, you mount them like this. Now, the base plate is non-reversible, so your base plate has these kickouts on either side on the back. So you need to make sure that your base plate is set up correctly, which would always put your breather at the front, but the arms are fully reversible. Let me take this apart and show you why these arms are reversible. Taking a look at just one of the arms now, you're going to get a really good idea of how this system works. So the actual fulcrum for the arm is this 17mm portion here. This is where it engages into the housing itself, and then the bolt crosses through the entire way, allowing you to have everything revolving around that center pivot. So the fulcrum against the housing and the fulcrum against the bolt with an O-ring in this slot right here, and the sealing washer on the outside of the bolt, the entire housing is secured around one central pivot and is sealed on all sides. What you'll notice here, this is what we're calling the keyway, and what that does is the keyway engages an opening on the key and allows the key to fit onto the keyway in such a way that, one, you can see our offset, but two, it is fully secured around the pivot. Now, this may not look very thick right now, but this will be a piece of hardened steel, and what this is this is larger than your 17mm overall fulcrum. This is actually a 28, and this allows you to have a lot of strength in that fulcrum. So there's a ton of geometry that went into play here, but suffice it to say that both of these keys are exactly the same. So when you remove this key, you can put this key on the other shifter in the other direction and have the same orientation of key to handle, which allows you to run this in the automatic or manual position. There is no way that you can install this key onto this shifter incorrectly. Doesn't matter which way you mount them. As long as they are mounted, they are in the correct orientation. Clocked forward for the automatic, and clocked rearward for the manual. Okay, taking a look at the shift orientation from the W59, you can see this is your manual transmission shifter, and this is in reverse, meaning that this is the furthest over and furthest back position that you can be in, which is your most compromising position for dual sticks. We clearly have plenty of clearance here between the leftmost stick in the high position and where the transmission shifter is. Now, I do realize that this pattern is backwards here. This really would be 2 on top, like that, 2 on top, and then you would pull backwards to be in the 4 position. So when this setup is in the 4-wheel drive high position, both of these are parallel. I'll show you what that looks like right now. This, of course, would be your high 4 position with the 2 that are parallel now. They are both in their most rearward position. I'm going to go ahead and shift this now all the way up through neutral and into the low position and show you both from the top and from the side how much clearance you get. Taking a look now, and this is your most compromising position. This is your low, meaning your leftmost stick is the furthest forward. What that means is normally, if you were running twin sticks, you would have an issue right here where the twin stick would actually hit your transmission shifter. You would have interference, and you would not be able to either shift into reverse or shift into low. So I'm going to show you from the side now just how much clearance we've actually been able to get through this system. Take a look at just how much clearance you get between these two shifters on a single case setup. I mean, that's easily enough for me to fit my hand in there, and this is with a relatively large shift knob. So clearly, if I go ahead and center that again, we have plenty of room between the manual transmission shifter in its most compromising position and the T-case shifter in its most compromising position. This geometry works so well. I am so incredibly proud of my team for coming up with this, and this print is just the tip of the iceberg for what this is capable of. And if you thought this was impressive, let's hop inside my truck where I can show you it with an actual interior so you can see what it would look like if you were sitting in the driver's seat. This will be one of the best views that I can give you of how this system is going to work with an automatic with a single case. Now, again, mine is a push button transfer case, so mine will not work with this specific setup. I would need to convert to a J-shift, but this is the orientation that everything would be in. With the geometry that we've used, with the way that the angles of the handles are, we are able to use the factory shift bezel, and we're able to fit within factory tolerances. So again, you would right now be in the 2-wheel drive high position. When you pull this to go up to parallel, you would be in the 4-wheel drive high position, and then you could shift through to neutral and to low. This shifter setup is so very well designed with the geometry, the way that the shifters tuck up underneath the bezel. You will have no interference with the bezel in this configuration. Now, you can also, because this is split, go into the too low position, right? And it would be about right there. And the versatility that having twin sticks gives you just opens up your ability to utilize your vehicle beyond what factory settings were. The other thing to note here is that if we go with forward shift bases, RF1A bases, this will essentially fit every Toyota 4-wheel drive vehicle that is not push button automatic or not multimode from 1979 all the way out until 2004 and beyond, with some things like the FJ Cruiser, versions of the 4th gen 4Runner, versions of the 2nd gen Tacoma. The versatility of this product allows us to adapt it easily for all of those scenarios. Another thing to consider here is when you have dual shifters on a double case, this area right here would normally be open, but as you can see, that's the side of a chair and this is the side of a chair. For those instances, we do have a set of parallel arms that are not bent in any configuration for your traditional dual case, dual shift setups. So you would no longer utilize this area in the bezel. You would have a single shifter here for this place in the bezel, and you would have an opening here with parallel arms so that you don't interfere with either of the seats. I am so incredibly happy to share this with you. If you have any comments, please let me know. Engage with us on YouTube. Engage with us in the comment section. I will respond to as many as I can. You're not getting some rando responding to stuff. It's me, myself, and my words coming through my editor if need be. I respond on the Instagram. Please follow us. Everything is The Driver's Market. We're on LinkedIn now, so we can give updates there. We're on Facebook now. We can give updates there. You will see more of this product moving forward. We are also working diligently on the import lock model IL-02. That will be for the ADD system on everything from 2000 and a half all the way up until 2000 and I believe 15, 16, somewhere in there. And that will be on this Tacoma moving forward. I'm really excited to have all of these great things going with us. I have an extraordinary team behind me that is pushing us to be better, and I just want to bring you all along on the ride because we're going great places, and I want to take everybody with us. And I am so thankful that we have had the engagement that we've had, that people are reaching out to us on Instagram. We have friends of the channel making videos for us in the future, so please stay tuned for more promotional content from other channels that are reaching out to us. We have a good relationship going right now with another channel that I'm not going to say their name because their video isn't out yet. I don't want to spoil anything, but we are growing very slowly and every little bit helps. Please engage with us in the comments, leave us a like, subscribe. If you could share this with your friends so that they know that this is an option for their 4Runner or Tacoma, let us know. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you all again. Again, if you have any questions, you can let us know on any of the socials or you can email us at thedriversmarket@gmail.com. So I appreciate it. Thank you again, and I will see you guys when there's another update to be given.